and welcome to today's workshop that we have. We are so excited to have Amy Doerflinger here to present a kickoff workshop for Techstars Startup Week in Beaufort. Whoop, 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 whoop. We have Techstars that's actually happening March 22nd through the 24th, so we're just 9 short days away from that starting. And because during Techstars it is something where you're building a team and you want to be really collaborative, we have Amy here to go over the stages of team building and also some strategies on how to optimize your team at Techstars. And without further ado, here's Amy.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. So first question, whether you're online, watching this later, raise your hand, or here in the room, who's participating in Techstars next weekend?
Yeah, I actually don't know.
Not yet? Oh, not sure? Okay, well, sounds like you have 9 days. They didn't pay me to say this, but definitely encourage folks to join Techstars. This will be my second year joining and participating in Techstars. And I know I'm really excited. I'm excited to build off the knowledge that I'm sharing with you all today. I learn something new every time I go through this content, and just excited to be part of a team no matter what that is next weekend. So my name is Amy Doerflinger, and I live here locally out on St. Helena Island. I work from home primarily when I'm not here at the Beaufort Digital Corridor. And you can see a picture of my often sometimes messy home office there. I work for Edward Jones. I'm currently a senior manager in our digital space, often known as IT. And I lead a team of folks who support digital products. So think about your mobile apps. We have an Edward Jones app, and our teams support that, and edwardjones.com for just a couple examples. I feel like I've been building or on high-performing teams my entire life and career, but it really wasn't until the last 5 years that I dug into Tuckman's model, which we'll go over today, and you should have a handout there, and you'll see them on the screen. And agile leadership. I really leaned into understanding what that meant for me and my career. And today, the outcomes that I'd love for all of you is to be able to walk away with a couple nuggets or key takeaways that help you and your current team, a future team, not only build high-performing teams, but be a part of them and understand and recognize where you are in those phases. So in 1965, back to this model, Bruce Tuckman, he presented a paper outlining his model of the stages that were necessary from what he observed for a team to develop and grow. And so they're forming, storming, norming, and performing. And yes, we have a fifth one there. That was added later, sometimes called adjourning or mourning. Today we'll talk about it in terms of adjourning. And these 5 stages of team development formed the basis for many future team group models that are used today in the industry. And many extensive management consulting companies use Tuckman's model as a foundation for how they come in and consult and provide models to rapidly build teams. This is the underlying principle behind all of that. They just may not use the terminology. So most of us are familiar with the terrible twos. This is my daughter, Tessa, when she was about that age. Has everyone heard about the terrible twos? Yeah. Either you have experienced them yourself, been around nieces, nephews, friends, cousins, whoever, who may be going through the terrible twos. We understand this is a childhood development phase that children go through. And understanding that constant stream of no, 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 or just whining and complaining. I think what's happening here in this picture, when we understand that, it really can lead to greater happiness. So this was her, I don't know how much longer later, but the often sweet side comes out, and my sweeter side comes out when you recognize what they're going through. And so much like childhood development, teams go through these stages of development themselves as well. And so today's topic is really timely for anyone who's a part of a team, which is pretty much everyone, because you're recognizing, hey, these emotions are probably happening, or this is happening within a team because I'm going through a stage or a phase in the development of the team. And we can approach that with greater empathy, compassion, and understanding when we recognize what stage we might be in. So why Tuckman's model, and why do we care? Why should you care? His work simply described what he observed in watching how groups evolved, whether they were conscious of it or not. So teams are not sitting there and saying, okay, I'm stepping through forming and now I'm moving to this. It just happens organically. It really happens naturally without us even knowing it. And again, the value is recognizing where are we at in the development stage. So much like human development, again, it's not linear. It's not a step progression. It is, think of it as cyclical. You are ebbing and flowing and moving through the phases depending on what's happening. So we could be in a team meeting right now, but we have a key team member who's not here, and they miss pertinent information. We could go back to storming because that person wasn't here and they're not able to help move the group forward because they missed out on information. So therefore, we'd kind of go back a little bit, storm through it, and then we're able to move forward. If you have people who leave teams or join teams, it often makes the group go back to storming and forming as well. And so that's where it's not linear, it's really fluid. And this also is not meant to diagnose a team and say, you're in this or I'm in this phase. It's just to have the awareness to say, why are we having conflict right now? Oh, we're just getting to know each other. And again, today we'll talk through here's some tips and tactical ways that you can move through those phases to get to high performing. So we'll jump into the first phase that you see around forming. And this is really where teams get to know each other. They look at the task at hand. What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? When can I be relied on? When can I rely on you? What quirks do we have as a team member, as team members? And what are we working towards and why? So at this stage, you've probably been on teams where everyone's just kind of nice, right? It's like, how are you? I'm good. I'm nice. But you don't really get to the surface level. Everybody really wants to belong. And so they're bringing their best selves, and they will later in different phases. But everyone's just looking to be accepted, and they're staying really surface level. At this phase, it's really important for the team to figure out their objectives and their roles and responsibilities within the team. How do I fit, and what am I here to do? So with that, I'm going to show you a couple examples, and we'll practice them of activities that a leader or anyone on the team can really do to help the team get to know each other. And this builds that foundation of trust so that the group can get below the surface with each other. So for instance, I would kick off a team meeting and ask the first question: what game show do you have the most likely chance of winning? So anyone in the group want to be brave and answer that question?
Price is Right.
The Price is Right, okay.
Probably one of those games where the obstacle courses and things like punch you and I say a game show.
Yeah, I don't. There you go, Wipeout.
Yeah.
How many seasons?
Yeah.
Deal or no deal?
Okay.
Ooh, yeah. Man, that's a stressful one.
Wheel of Fortune.
All right, Wheel of Fortune. So we have some intellectual games, some physical games. But do you see, even just with this group, I know you all kind of know each other, but you were smiling, you were laughing, right? It may cause a team to go have further side conversations and say, tell me more about that. Do you play sports, right? Or, oh, have you ever been on a game show? And you get to know each other on a deeper level. So this is just an example. You can kick off meetings. I think icebreakers are kind of the norm lately, but if they're not a practice that you have, it doesn't have to be just at work. Think of Techstars. Kick off next weekend, getting to know the team or any group that you might lead or be a part of. The other one, we'll do this one also. So 1 through 10, you see these numbers up on the screen. Take a pause. You have a piece of paper or a sticky note in front of you, or just mentally. What is the sum of these numbers? And I'll give you about 30 seconds. Don't say it out loud, just kind of keep it in for now, but what is the sum of those numbers? Okay, who got 55? Everyone? Half? Okay, that's okay. One off, that's fine. The whole point is not necessarily what the right number is, but your process. So how'd you get to 55?
Combined 9 and 1, 2 and 8, 7 and 3, 1 and 6.
Okay, so you took the outside. You said 10 plus 9 plus 1 is 10, 20, 30, and kind of brought it in.
Yes.
Okay.
Interesting.
Jess?
Highest to lowest, 19 plus 8 plus 7 plus 6.
Okay, That's a good way. I hadn't heard of that one. And it's okay if you didn't get the number right, but how are
I
you?
was told to try to do my process. I was trying to combine numbers, but then I was randomly doing it, and then I lost track of which one I combined.
Well, then
So
I
you were better
put you
about
on the
going
spot.
It was just even, well, it was even tens.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I took 10, and I was like, 9, yeah. I went to 8 and 2, so I just skipped the alphabet.
Yeah, that one's, Jess's seems more
Yeah.
challenging, like more brain
Yeah,
power.
because you have to do a little more math.
I
Yeah, more
added them from left to right, so like 1 plus 2, and then added 3 to that, 4 to that, 5 to that, so on.
Yeah. No wrong way, right? At the end of the day, the answer is 55 no matter how you count it up. And I put you on the spot. It's okay if you didn't get it. I usually am like thrown off by math right away. Takes me a minute. The whole point of this exercise, I've done this with many teams, this is a diversity of thought exercise. So for me, it's really helpful to set the stage with my team for like my leadership style and then what I expect from them. I expect you all to leverage your diversity of thought. You think differently. This just showed that. Everyone approached it in a different way, and that's what we want to recognize and reward. We want to celebrate the strengths and weaknesses of this team or opportunities, and at the end of the day, deliver the right outcome or get to 55 together. But how we do it, let's know, hey, we think differently. So this is just an example of how you can help to form your team. So next, as people start to feel safer, right? We're feeling a little bit safer. We're going to be celebrated if we think differently. The teams want to push boundaries. Conflicts may begin to start here. Clashes occur because there are differences in personalities and working styles. Different times of day, people like to work too, right? Like there's so many differences that emerge in teams. Resentments and irritations that maybe were there in the last stage, but remember, people were just being nice. They were playing it safe. Those are starting to emerge. So the team needs to come together to know how to solve these problems. So the leader really needs to be accessible during this phase, and team members might challenge their leader or jostle for their position. Individuals also may need to be coached or pulled aside, say, hey, I noticed this behavior, this is how we want to move forward. The leader can really help the team root back to what's our why, what's our vision, what's our mission. Again, why are we here? Why are we forming? Because again, we are different. We think differently. We have different strengths. Let's leverage that. But what are we here to do? And then that leader or team member who's leading needs to have effective communication too. So making sure that everyone's clear on their responsibilities. How do you fit into this? Or in Techstars, hey, we need to get these things done really quick. Who's going to tackle it? Who's going to take it? So that there's no miscommunication. So at this stage, a team can design their alliance or establish a working agreement. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that is. This is an example of what we call designing your alliance or your working agreement. This is a snippet from Mural, which is an online collaborative tool. Miro is another one similar, but you can really do this in PowerPoint. You could do it if you're in person with stickies. In Techstars, everybody's in person, so you could do this in person with just stickies on the wall or a whiteboard. And the point of this, I've walked teams through, it's again, what are your strengths? So like, get it all on paper, make it visible, and then where are our opportunities? What's our purpose, our values? When do we want to work best together? And another example where this comes in handy for Techstars, I remember doing it last year, because you're building a team so quickly, we said, hey, Saturday morning, what time are we going to get here, and who has conflicts throughout the day? Because we're going to need to move really rapidly. And I remember a couple of people were like, well, I have this appointment, or I need to step out at this time, or I got to eat lunch at this time. Getting it all visible is helpful because you're avoiding resentments later where it's like, why did Jess just leave? She's abandoning the team? Like, no, she had to go pick up her kid, right? Because we talked about it and we made it visible. So just a couple examples of how you can use this and why it's important when building teams. So norming next is the stage where the plan starts to come together. During this stage, the team agrees on plans, timelines, and who will contribute according to their skills. Some team members might need to let go of their own ideas and say, hey, this is for the greater good of the team. I'm going to move forward. The team also begins developing trust, helping each other, asking for help, and more socialization happens. So storming can still occur, as always, especially when there's changes on the team or stress. Techstars as a good example, Alan, you might remember, there's lots of stress that happens in that really quick weekend. So it's important to recognize that. But in general, the team, and you might have felt it like, hey, we're starting to gel a little bit here. Keep going. We're almost to the high performing stage. So the norming stage can be sped up with facilitation from the leader or someone in Techstars who like emerges as the leader. It really doesn't even have to be the person who pitches the idea. The team starts to determine what steps they can make together and, hey, what are we going to do to complete the tasks as a unit? The leader can also organize socializing events, so maybe not so much for Techstars because it's such a fast weekend, but think of a team or a group. Hey, maybe it's time for a team lunch. Take people out, get out of your normal environment. Or a lot of companies have recognition programs. This is a great time to just check in, recognize the progress so far, and say, hey, here's a $10 gift card or whatever your recognition program might be. So let's say the team is now performing. The team is stable, goals are clear, they're moving forward together. The team has developed processes, right? They know where to get information, who to go to, and people follow them. Hey, Angela's going to go this way. She needs help. I'm going to jump in. I'm not going to question it. We have trust built. Performing teams also get the job done with minimal supervision and minimal conflict. People are motivated in this stage, and conflicts are no longer threatening, and different perspectives, back to the diversity of thought activity, people see those things as valuable. If we disagree, we're more likely now at this stage to say, I see your point. Awesome. Instead of you're wrong and more negative, conflicting kind of language, which we hope doesn't happen anyway, but it can exist. So the high-performing team is largely autonomous, and a good leader can now be seen delegating, developing their team members, and really visioning and looking forward. For the team to perform at its best, the leader encourages creative conflicts, like I was just kind of mentioning, rewarding and celebrating achievements. And the team, this is when they can conduct retrospectives, which is kind of depicted here on I'm pointing to it on the right side of the screen. Have you heard of a start, stop, or continue before, anyone? Mm-hmm. Okay. So basically, this is when a team, these are examples of what we call retrospectives. You're looking back, you're retrospecting on what just happened. Maybe it was an event or a project that completed, or, hey, we've been together now for 3 months. Let's talk about it. What's been going well? What should we start as a team? What should we stop? What should we continue? This is a great check-in for a leader, too, to ask those questions. Hey, how's it going? How am I doing? What are you mad, sad, or glad about? That's another, if you Google retrospectives, you'll come up with all sorts of questions to ask and ways to move the team forward. But this is a great time to build the culture and build the norm for a team to do this regularly. Retrospectives are not just one and done. It's a high-performing team does this all the time, and they establish their cadences for it. So lastly, Bruce then teamed up with a woman named Mary Ann Jensen in 1977, and this is when they added that fifth stage, adjourning, or again, you might see it as mourning. This stage is about wrapping up tasks or the team or the project. So in Techstars, quick weekend, they still go through adjourning. It's like celebration, this team won, what do we do next? I just made friendships and relationships with these people. There is an adjourning phase that happens. It's important to celebrate, recognize a success, and then also talk about maybe what's next. So in the case of Techstars, do we want to stay in touch? Maybe that's just a simple question that the team asks and thanks each other for their time together. Lots of emotions at this stage can happen too, all at once even. So people might feel happiness, sadness, grieving even happens at this stage. Something is coming to a close. A leader can accelerate a team in this process to then, most teams are going to get to forming again. They're going to join a new team or a new team member comes in. They're going to kind of start all over. So team members need support. And this is an opportunity. This image here is a virtual card that, let's say, you got a new job and you're leaving the team is adjourning. They're going to send you a card and wish you well and maybe have a celebratory lunch, right? Like that's an example of an adjourning activity. And then up here is the Kubler-Ross model. It's a change curve. A leader can take this and say, hey, where are you at on this curve? Are you depressed? Are you frustrated? Are you ready to move to integration? These are fluid emotions as well. Again, you can feel all of these emotions all at once and be in denial, but at the same time, ready to move to the next stage. The importance at this stage is recognizing that, providing space for people to feel those emotions. You're not having a big crying fest at work. It can happen, but the intent is really just to recognize where are we at and why is this important? Okay, so we're going to solidify some of what you've learned today so far. So if you are online, just grab like a piece of paper that you have. But if you're here in the room, I have stacks of 3 note cards for you. And on those note cards, you're going to write what's underlined. What, so what, and now what. And don't start writing, you can write those yet, but don't answer the question yet. I'll explain it. So just write what on one, so what, and now what. Okay. So this is an activity, sometimes I've called it 3-card draw because you have 3 cards, the 3 W's. It's from a group called Liberating Structures. It's linked here and in the additional resources. This site has so many awesome activities for group building, but this is where you can find out more about this activity. So on the first one, we're going to take 1 minute and answer what. What have you learned so far today? What did you notice? And what stood out the most? We'll take a minute. And if you're ready, you can move on to the second one. Here's the timer. So what? So what do these learnings mean to you? And why are these observations important to you? So what? Got about 20 seconds. Okay, next one. Now what? So based on this new information, based on those learnings, what are you going to do about it? Who are you going to tell? What are you going to implement? What's next? I'm impressed. Lots of writing going on.
This is good information. So
Got about 10 seconds, and you can always come back to this and add more. Okay, so these cards, if I think right now we were at 50% of folks going to Techstars. If other people want to join Techstars, bring these cards with you. Like maybe there's something here that you wrote down that can bleed into next weekend and kicking off a team. And doing an activity like this from Liberating Structures, this is an example of how you can help the team also just reflect. So we've been together for this much time, or hey, we just did our visioning activity. What did you hear? So what does that mean? What are you going to do about it, right? You can adapt these 3 questions to pretty much any context that you have in building a team, whether it's work, professionally. It just provides that space. You can see how in 3 minutes, there was a lot of writing. There was a lot of thoughts that went down on paper. And now it's up to the people who wrote it or the group, how are you going to move forward? So I'll also share with you all that I'm going through the adjourning phase right now with my current role. And so that slide with all of the different emotions really resonates. I think I've been through the gamut of the emotions this whole week. And another activity, I touched on it very briefly, but you can host a responding to change workshop where you hold that space for people to adjourn. And tomorrow I'm leading a session with my team. We're basically saying goodbye and closing this chapter, moving on to a new one. And it's good, it's sad, and it's happy all at the same time. So just being really intentional. The adjourning phase is the one that people usually skip through the most. You get a new job and you pretty much move on. Take time to celebrate. Take time to reflect. What was great about this job that I want to move forward with, and what maybe would I change or do differently? So just some real examples of acknowledging, again, these phases can happen throughout our entire weekday. You can go through the emotions. So within the presentation, I think it'll be sent out. I have some links that you can click on, just more content that this information was built off of if you want to read more. How to say farewell to a colleague, right? Just a couple articles that I came across as I was putting this together. And thank you. It's been my pleasure sharing with you all. I know we kind of went a little, we have some additional time, so happy to take questions. I'd also love to connect on LinkedIn. My QR code's here on the slide too, if we're not already connected. And then if you want to take out your phones, if you have them available, or a computer, go to menti.com. I'd love just some feedback. How valuable was this content? And if you scan that QR code, it should be live, and I'd love your feedback. So reach out to me also. What questions do you all have? Additional questions or insight?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm opening it up for questions on our live feed too, so
Okay.
I'm going to let that stay for a couple of minutes and see if anyone has any.
Awesome. I should have planned more activities for us. Yeah.
This is great. You know what? I had a flashback. I didn't remember. I still have these on my desk from the very first Agile presentation you did. So it was great to get a refresher. Yeah, I like that. And then,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I was just going to say, and a lot of times when Amy was talking with Angela and myself about doing the presentation, we realized we've been through these phases of team formation a lot of times in our lives. We just didn't have names for them or true prototypes for understanding, oh,
Yeah.
that's what we're going through at that phase, but we've seen it.
Yeah.
100
Yep.
times.
Oh yeah, I thought the same thing.
Mhm.
Well, and then we just had a massive layoff at my work, and so like our team had reached a really kind of high functioning level of happiness, so like now it's like we're weirdly back at the beginning, because like we're fragments of teams now, like the team that we were. So I found myself
Yeah.
thinking about, how can we make that a little more better, make things better moving forward.
Even just looking at this more, I thought of past projects or teams, and I was like, oh, I could have been nicer maybe to that person, like understanding what they were going through. Or it just gives you a different lens to, I know we talk all the time, a lot of times about like taking other people's perspectives, but like you were saying, now you actually have maybe some words to associate with maybe some of the feelings or emotions or conflict happening. Or when you're in a great team that's really high performing, you're like, this feels good. What is this? How do I keep this? Like, there's a name for that, and there's ways you can keep that too. Alan, what were you going to add?
Yeah, I was gonna. Essentially, we're also kind of echoing the same thing. Like, we've experienced a lot of stages without having the framework to compartmentalize and understand it and comprehend it. And this talk really resonated with me. I don't really have any burning questions, but I have a lot of takeaways that I'm going to implement, like today. I basically just formed my first team within my own business, related to so I've got an editor who edits my content, and I just onboarded last night and this morning a media manager, and we just have this whole system and strategy in place that we're going to be executing. And it's I'm so grateful to have come in today, because this is an opportunity right from the get-go to implement this framework, because this is my first time in this kind of leadership role within a team, and to have that framework now I can go in with this as a guiding light, and I can do some of these early formation steps, like the icebreakers, and recognizing the value of the team members' skills and strengths early on, and how that can translate. Because I would love for them to have creative autonomy and have good ideas, rather than my one brain and they just do what I think. I love the idea of having a team of brains.
Yeah.
And the connection of them saying, hey, these are my strengths, and how that correlates to one of those later stages where they can suggest. So yeah, I think this is going to enhance teams, the overall performance, but also the team's happiness and experience. And so thank you for sharing this, especially in this moment today.
Sounds like it'll help your happiness too, with being whoa, I have a method I can take to do this. How do I do this? I think a lot of, that's a misnomer too. We start new teams, but how do we get started? So glad it was helpful.
I have a question. It is regarding the slide that you had where you were saying there's a board, and then people can go up and they need to, on a sticky note, for example, and they can fill out their
The alliance template.
Yes, their
Mm-hmm.
alliance template. Is that linked in the?
No.
How do we access that if we want to use that?
Yeah, so if anyone has I think mural.com, mural.com, you can go to. They probably have some free templates. It's a subscription-based kind of online whiteboard, or Miro, and they provide a lot of templates. So you could type in team working agreement. You can also create. So take that screenshot that I shared, and you can build that in one of those tools. Yeah, I don't have that mural linked for consumption.
Okay then, thank you.
Yeah.
Everyone who attends Techstars does get a free trial account to Miro, miro.com, as one of their global partners.
Awesome. And they have free templates that people can use. You just usually type in keyword searches, even maybe team building or icebreakers. I know Mural has a lot of those built in.
Mm-hmm.
So
This made me wonder about Techstars. So do some of the people that show up have the ideas, I assume? I know that you were a support in a team. Were you a team lead, or were you did you have the idea? I'm trying to picture how it,
I would, going in, I thought, oh, people have ideas pre-planned, and then they pitch them. But honestly, they tell you you're supposed to idea to completion, start to finish right there. So if you have assets, if you have an idea and you have already got any assets already built coming into it, you're not allowed to pitch that idea.
Yeah, they want to have fresh, because it's going to become an idea for the community that's going to become owned by the team.
Okay.
What they want to
So it
prevent
starts
is one person storming
Yeah.
the rest of the team and saying, no, this is my idea, these are my rigid thoughts, this is how I feel. So how it works is the first day, everyone comes in and they're all given a chance to pitch for 60 seconds. What's the problem they're trying to solve? What's the solution? What product, service, app are they going to build to solve it? Name it, what's the name for it, and then who do you want on your team? You need a product designer, you need a web developer, you need a graphic designer, you need someone who's data analytics. And then that's it. So 60 seconds, they get 60 seconds to pitch that to the audience. They're given a big sticky notepad to put on the wall of the auditorium. And then as many people as want to pitch. Then you go through a voting phase. So anyone who wants to stay and be on a team get 3 sticky notes, and they can vote 3 times on whichever or all on one idea that they like the best. And the ideas are whittled down to how many participants, 2
Versus,
team
like,
members,
10 teams,
to try to get no more than 5 to 7 is usually a good number, no more than 10 people per a team. And then they work on that with that team. They can then go and interview based on how many ideas are left after they've been whittled down and voted on. They can go and talk to each person who's the founder who pitched that idea. They'll go stand by their idea that they pitched, and they can kind of pre-interview each other and decide which team they want to join.
Okay.
Okay. I have a question for you, Amy.
Okay.
Okay, even though I wasn't at Techstars last year, I would love to be on your team.
Thank you.
So I want to ask you, when you were on the team at Techstars, are you making everyone on your team aware, like, hey, I'm aware of these stages, you need to be aware of these stages, these are stages, we're walking you through these. Is everyone like functioning like that?
No, I think I did it last year also, kind of what you all were mentioning, like without even thinking, because I've done this a few times. I just, sometimes I think I naturally emerged as someone who wanted to help things organize. And so I said, hey, we don't know each other. Can everyone just go around the room and just share? And I just made it up on the spot. I was like, where you loved a vacation, just a couple things about you. What do you do for work? Where do you live? And why are you here? And I just, okay. And I stood up and had everybody go around. So
Okay.
No, I didn't, to answer your question, but I don't think it's a bad idea to be like, hey, bring this piece of paper. We need to move through this really fast. And then I just kind of help them organize, okay, what do we need to do? I definitely played more of that support role because it wasn't my idea, but I loved it. And so I wanted them to be, like the team, us to be successful.
I'll say one of the reasons we asked Amy to do this workshop is day one, her team had just formed. They had sticky notes all over the walls. Everything seemed so organized and perfect. She had, I think, her Pomodoro timer on her. And I was like, oh, this team is going to go far. And they were laughing. There was joy in the room. Everyone had Lego glasses that she brought so that they felt like they were a part of a team from the very get-go.
That's the other thing
And it
with
was
teams
just
is
very
like
impressive.
the Lego glasses, they were kind of, I just had my daughter's birthday party and she had these Lego glasses and I was like, how fun. Like adults like to play. That's the other element of just building teams and just life. How do we add play into things? Make it fun. We all want to have fun while we're working and conversing. So like you said, I loved how the glasses brought us together. That was our thing. No one else had like Lego glasses. So we solidified around that too.
Yeah, and you're saving yourself so much heartache down the line in those later stages. You're kind of patching they're laying a strong foundation. And I think that was undervalued, by probably many teams.
Yeah.
Or they didn't have the framework and leadership experience as like you.
And you don't have to become a family. Like I know that's kind of a hot topic too sometimes in corporate America today is like, we're like family. Like, no, you don't have to get that detailed and that intimate. But you can have fun together, right? You can laugh together. You can have team lunches and you can still trust each other without oversharing and getting overly personal too. Well, I'm happy to talk about any of these stages and I'm still learning. That's the awesome thing about just this model is that foundation of learning and how we take it through any role and experience in our life. I mean, even your family.
Who introduced you to this model? Was it your team, or did you stumble upon it, or?
I feel like I remember in my project management certificate back probably about might be 8 years ago now, I can't remember, where it was introduced, but I didn't think much of it. It was just like, hey, when you lead a project, your team goes through forming, storming, norming, performing, and then they moved on. So I was introduced to it, but no one until the last 5 years with some of the agility pieces, and then most recently, someone on my team created this change workshop that we went through because we just had a big reorg, and it reinvigorated my interest in the Tuckman's model and recognizing I'm going to need this as I continue to progress. And Jess also hey, you did these things with Techstars last year. What was that? And I was like, I don't oh, there is an, you know, same thing. Like, yeah, I did some things naturally. So just kind of has been a journey.
Cool.
Well, thank you for having me and open to questions in the future.
So we will log off.